Great, thank you. Good afternoon, Council. I'd like to call this Committee of the Whole meeting for March 12th, 2026 to order for the adoption of the agenda. So I want to make that motion. Councillor Devlin, Councillor Lusow, all in favor? Motion's carried. Adoption of the minutes of the Committee of the Whole of February 12th. I want to make that motion. Councillor Cherry, Councillor Devlin, all in favor? Motion's carried. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, I'm going to go right into delegations and presentations. We have Revelstoke Community Housing Society here with an update. Mr. Attia, if you'd come up and we'll get moving.
Yeah, happy to. Please. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to start us off and I'll take over.
Yeah, thanks so much. So I'm the council rep to Revelstoke Community Housing Society. I got pressed into service at the last minute here to do a little bit of introduction of Taha Attia, who is our general manager, and we'll be doing a presentation today on our annual report presentation and all the projects we have on the go, some updates on timelines, and an opportunity for council to ask some questions and find out more about what we're doing. So without further ado, take it away, Taha.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for having us for our first annual update. I'm excited to share what we've been working on, and I'll just dive right in. Feel free to stop me anytime. We're going to go through a few different projects, so don't feel like you need to hold questions till the end. So RCHS signed a partnership agreement to deliver housing development and operations for the city of Revelstoke in 2024, and last year was our first year active in that agreement. Our main project was the Downey Street development with 166 units. I'm excited to share that we've submitted our final project approval budget and all of the details that BC Housing needs, and as recently as March 2nd, we have heard confirmation that budget changes at provincial level will affect our project. It's being felt across the affordable housing development community, so I just wanted to be clear that they were clear with us about that we're moving ahead, and we're awaiting confirmation. March 18th is our next expected update, so in a week's time, hopefully we'll be putting a sign in the ground and shovels after that.
What will they commitment to on March 18th? Is that basically just saying all the funds are in place, let's move?
Yeah, that'll be the final project approval.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, so that's our general timeline up there. And we'll get more into funding opportunities later in the presentation, but it's yeah, we do consider ourselves in a fortunate position to have met this deadline of the fiscal year. There was a push on the whole team to get all the designs and all the details together, but yeah, really proud of how the team that we put together came through. We had a lot of support throughout from the city of Revelstoke, so I also want to thank all those who were involved. Their staff input to design. There was the DCC reductions. There were yeah, a lot of rapid response times on permits and yeah, good communication between the team and staff, and our offsite contributions are being integrated with the 4th Street Calming project. So that agreement is lined up now. Yeah, and overall the project details we're going to share on the next page. So if there are, council has seen this page before, but for residents who are hearing about this for the first time, have heard about this project but didn't know it was this far along, any of those updates, we do want them to go to our page, sign up for updates, and we'll be updating throughout the construction period to make sure that they know it's coming. The first construction signage will be posted as soon as we have FPA approval, final project approval, which will just let residents know that change in the parcel is going to be, the use of the parcel is going to be changing for anyone who's walking their dog there or using it as a park now. And then just to reiterate, we do have that communications list started, so we're going to be contacting anyone who reaches out. But the formal wait list for residents won't be opening until we're about 12 to 18 months out from the first building. And that'll give ample time for local residents to get their applications in.
Okay. Council Paul.
Should we be asking questions after each?
Feel free to, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, through the chair. Yeah, thank you. It's exciting. It's been a long time before you were here.
I filled out the first survey that BC Housing put out.
So the final project approval, so that's all the paperwork from the Housing Society going to the province, and they're just doing the final review to, assuming most of the stuff has already been vetted kind of thing, and so it's to get their stamp or the minister's approval or something.
Exactly, yeah, that's the final come through by finance and other departments, but our team, the BC Housing team, has been through it and have confirmed that everything's in place. So at this point, it's it's more of an administrative hurdle than anything.
So and then one question I have for us at the council table is there anything that you'll be coming back for that particular project for council, or is everything in place? You mentioned the DCC, so I'm assuming that's already received approval from council. Is there anything that we should anticipate that you would be coming back, or is it all administrative at this point?
The only thing that hasn't come to council, because it can't really be, it'll come through when we have our first tax bill, will be the tax, the request for tax reductions for the affordable housing. So that
Actions or raises?
what is this?
Okay, so then is that permissive tax?
Yes, it's under the business permissive.
Permissive tax, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming a certain amount of that automatically applies. But anyway, so that'll be a finance thing, okay.
Yeah.
And then, so that's it, no other variances, the development approvals, that's all gone through and all that kind of stuff as far as you're aware.
Yeah, unless there were some kind of change that came through that we weren't anticipating, but at this point everything's been accepted. Right, we've got our designs.
And then through the chair, so the contractor, that's all that detailed designs, and so there's a final price on the building.
There'll be so there's a tender price that's like the tendering is going on right now, but as far as our CHS is concerned, our final price is locked in.
So it's still under tender process. So.
Yeah, they're finally like awards of tender haven't went out, but we've done everything but signed the final contract. So once that's in place.
And then through the chair, then on the tender, is it just subject to the provincial approval? Is that the only?
Yeah, so we can't sign on to the contract until we have our provincial approval.
And what through the chair, what was the final price?
For total project?
Yeah, the total, just the whole thing, everything.
I think we ended up like all in, I think we were around 96 million.
96 million. Okay. That of course doesn't include the land and stuff, but that's
yeah. I can give you an exact number. We'll do it after my presentation.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, just sort of reminding myself. And then finally through the chair, the traffic calming. So I don't know if the director's here. So that was put, if I'm recalling correctly, maybe this is through Steve Black. The traffic calming, I think council put that on hold subject to this project. So is there any update or?
Mr. Black, any comment on traffic calming, how it ties into this project?
Your Worship, all of council, as Mr. Taha indicated, sorry. Yes, we have come to an agreement on the transfer of the offsite funding available for this project to go to the traffic calming project, which we will implement this year. So that would be 2 intersections for traffic calming and adopting for future lights
So, like, just trying to get clarity, so what funding's getting transferred, like is?
Yeah, so the way the developer has submitted or worked with us to establish funds available. They have to do their offsite frontage improvements as part of their project. Portion of that would go towards the intersections.
Okay.
And so that money is now being allocated from the project to the city so that we can utilize those funds for our project.
Okay.
So in fact, they're supplementing the funds that we have available for them.
Okay, then, just, yeah, I'll ask the question since it's fresh. So the other part, because we basically put the traffic calming thing at hold, so now this is going to be get going. It's going to take time, probably next summer or something, kind of not this summer. Right, okay, thank you. That's everything, thanks.
Through your worship, just to be certain, so the city will be completing those two intersections this year.
Okay.
The works that the housing project will do will follow in the years because they don't want to damage all of their future frontage improvements. And so we'll complete our work. Housing will complete their work.
Okay, great, thank you.
Councillor Cherry.
Thank you, Mayor Sauls. Just a question through the chair. At the February 18th RCHS meeting, there was a special resolution that went out to borrow almost $3 million. I was just hoping to get some explanation on that as it is related to this project.
Mr. Tia, you have any comment?
Yeah, so that borrowing would allow us to take the funding that BC Housing has invested in what's called PPA, preliminary project approval funds, and attach that to the subsequent mortgage, which is going to be for the full project. So extra step by the lawyers was to have the society membership confirm that that can be borrowed. So we notified the members 14 days out from the meeting, and then hold the vote on the day of.
And it was approved?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, I
Councillor Cherry.
appreciate that. Thanks. I do have a follow-up question, slightly related. There have been concerning reports that underground parking was going to be removed, and there were going to potentially be other changes to this project. I'm hoping since you're in front of us, you can just speak to that. Is that something that's going to happen? Have their colors been changed? Are there any losses of balconies or any other cost-cutting measures in this project since it was last in front of us?
We did have to go through a value engineering exercise to make sure that we could meet our budget, typical of a project of this magnitude and the amount of time that it was in development, as we understand. So the outcomes of that were we did not want to change the development permit. We did not want to trigger, further changes that could stall us and cause us to miss that. We made a number of modifications to save costs, and were able to. And the changes were limited to those that staff felt that they could approve within the bounds of what council had instructed at the time the development permit was approved.
Okay. Follow up with that, Councillor Cherry?
No, we'll leave it there. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Palmer, did you have another question?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So just further to Councillor Cherry's questions. So if the $96 million, there's a certain number being probably additional to that in kind contributions the city's making, like reduction DCC, so the taxpayer takes those burdens and other items. The 7.3 million borrowing, is that I'm a little bit confused because I thought the province was funding this, but they're not funding it 100%.
The 7.3 that has been spent on everything, like basically the entire project cost so far, gets wrapped into the mortgage, and then the mortgage is reduced by the amount of grant the province provides, which is 41.4. So the total mortgage to RCHS is, final project costs, including what has happened up till now. And then that total is reduced by the grant amount of 41.4 million that BC Housing or the provinces provided BC.
Okay, yeah, yes, so that, then, so of that 96, is that 7.3 million included? Yeah.
It's within that.
Yeah, and then so the province is putting in 41.4, then the balance is that through a mortgage that's, and then you're getting recovery, expecting recovery of through rents, that kind of.
Yeah, so BC Housing would hold the province would hold the mortgage, and then they will finance it, wrap it into a bundle of mortgages, and then go out to the market and get a rate for those mortgages.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
That's reassuring for you to say that comment, because with all the cost cutting measures the province has done, oh, how can you hold me? That in mind. But thank you for that. Appreciate it. Let's carry on.
Okay. Bringing back the Oscar Lands Master Plan that council received an update on in January. Just to dig a little bit deeper into this item and share it in the scope of other projects that are going on. So this will be reviewed, but the master plan allowed for approximately 350 residential units, medium to high density, and guide development over a 10 to 15 year time frame. And then we'll jump in here. And then we took on an exercise to further detail that master plan and make some modifications based on engagement and workshopping with community stakeholders. Along with some additional design that was presented on in January, but some of the features and updates are listed there. Some that aren't listed there are considerations like creating a fire buffer between buildings and mature trees, adding a multi-use pathway through the site to connect a powerhouse, adding and shifting the development so that the trail network that you see that is forested is on the harder to build terrain, and then retaining the general concept that was laid out by the city-led master plan, and creating a more appealing streetscape by moving the parking behind the buildings instead of having the buildings sort of wrapped around the parking, which is the previous layout. So this is yet to be adopted formally. It may, and currently we're not proposing any of the changes to the master plan. Basically, everything that we will be proposing is in line with the original master plan. But this is a future step that the council could be seeing is the adoption of that master plan to guide the developments that come after us. After what we're proposing.
Any comments? I think, my question is, we let the kids that move into the neighborhood develop the paths back there, because I know as a kid, I know where I made my paths, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the update through the mayor. So Mayor Souls, you brought up last time, and so I'm just trying to make sure I understand this. So the city did a master plan, so I'm not sure if that's the master plan we're talking or though it was the subsequent plan. I think Mayor Souls, you made the point that those changes needed to come back for the city's master plan. So I just want to make sure I understand that correctly. Are you saying for the Oscar Street? I'm not sure what the name of that are of the city's plan. Do you remember?
Mr. Block, do you remember what we called that master plan? Was it?
I heard it all the time. It's the Oscar Lands Master Plan.
There we go.
2024.
Master plan. So, yeah, so Mayor Souls, so I just was thinking back to that time. So the Housing Society did that kind of refinement exercise, you might call it that, which I thought was really good. I think I mentioned that before. But I think Mayor Souls, you mentioned that, okay, that those refinements would have to come back for any changes to our master plan. So I'm just trying to make sure I understand that correctly. Do we anticipate requests coming from the Housing Society to make changes to the Oscar Street Master Plan as the city's plan?
Yes, so if we like, as of now, the Oscar Lands Master Plan being what it is allows for deviations on the sites and expects change. And what it functionally did was chart out how many units can this site handle, what densities would be supported on it, where would the road sit. It addressed some of the bigger development questions, and this type of refinement that is mapping out like individual developments, that projects that we're bringing forward was expected, and we do plan to bring to council for official adoption.
Okay.
And you're working lockstep with our staff regarding any changes as we move along, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Because just trying to remember, because it seemed to me that there was some substantive changes or significant changes to like road layouts and where buildings were likely to be in a positive direction.
Yeah, so we'll go into a little bit of detail here just to show some of the changes.
Okay.
But ultimately, this was the update was done mainly in the service of finding the lot boundaries of some future projects and projects that we were working on now. So I'll jump ahead here, but so this 28 unit development particularly was the one that was driving the master plan update from our end. We needed to know where that lot line would sit in relation to the concept design that we did, and therefore be able to say the next projects would fall after this lot line. I'll just point to a couple other details of the current master plan, so that we're all up to speed. The first one I wanted to point out was the pre-serviced road addition that's been put on Humbert Street, so that's highlighted there. The road and utilities have been installed approximately to where that dotted line is, with the goal of servicing, pre-servicing and enabling some rapid development of a future project at the time. So that was carried out in late 2024 with REDA provincial funding. Additional highlight here, because it doesn't stand out in the image so well, is these areas of potential development that could be used to either up the unit count on the future site. They were done. They were left intentionally that way, just as an option, or for potential lower density development that would link the site to the surrounding neighborhoods. And then this is the 28 unit concept design that we'll go into next. Any other questions before we move away from the master plan? We'll see this image again later, but
Okay. All right.
so that's our concept design right now of the 28 unit. It's two structures, stacked townhomes for 14 in each. We've got a range of bedrooms, one to three bedroom. The ground floor units are intended to be accessible units, particularly focused at seniors housing, which is lacking in the community. On the site, it allowed for more parking than was required, which is something that we wanted to be able to do, and that the lot actually makes sense of. The goal of being able to use this lot with moving as little dirt and earthworks as possible to reduce cost was what made that parking possible or favorable. There's some secure bike parking included in the design, and the pathway access to the multi-use pathway that's proposed on Humbert Street is also in that design. I guess just to close that out, this is the conclusion of the FCM feasibility, the FCM feasibility grant that we secured. It puts us in a position to apply for future funding. So, and to apply for a development permit. So those are the two outcomes where we've got something that is deemed shovel ready by funders and de-risked to the point that we could get capital grant funding. We would have been applying for the community housing fund that closed, that has closed a few weeks ago, which is this
They knew
one.
you were wanting money, so we took it away.
They saw us coming.
Councillor Cherry?
Thanks, Mayor Sauls. Just a question through the chair. It says here in the slide that only 14 units are below market rate being 67 to 74%. I'm curious why these aren't all market rate, as well as the previous project. It seems to be a lot of market rate rentals here that are competing with other rentals in the community.
Straight to you.
So the incorporation of market rents in developments is it's not uncommon practice. It is what's necessary to fund the cost of construction in this day and age, and with the goal of maintaining rents as other market rentals might appreciate and charge out higher rents. The pro formas and budgets of our developments aim to maintain and go up by inflation or less if possible. So yeah, that's a short answer to that.
Okay, if I could follow up, do you have any planning for any, like what's the risk management for market rate dropping as we're seeing right now across the communities? How do you recession proof this?
Recession proofing is like embedded in our agreements with BC Housing. It's ultimately the funder that we work with typically that is, you know, on the hook at the end of the day to help us manage those sorts of swings.
Okay.
We tend to like, we recently did a market rent survey of the community, a market rent appraisal of the community for Downey, for instance. And even when we charge market rent, we're aiming for median market rent. So we're not aiming for the high end of the market or the rents that you'd see and think to yourself, well, that's pretty steep. Those ones are typically the first ones that are going to be affected by a fall in demand. We're aiming for the median of the market with what we're targeting.
Understood. Are there any concrete mechanisms that allow you to still operate without being sideways on this if market rates were to drop in town by 10, 20, 30% as we enter this economic hardship that every level of government is letting us know is coming?
They're different from development to development, but yes, they do those operation agreements with BC Housing outline how that's treated.
Councillor Cherry, do you have a follow-up on that? No? Councillor Palmer?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Sauls. Thank you for the update. I think it's largely the same as before. Just for clarity, then, about some of the finer nuances, 14 units would be competing with the private sector for rentals, essentially. You're saying when you're trying to do the medium, but the medium is the medium. And the other 14 would be subsidized housing.
I guess competing, like I heard Councillor Cherry refer to competing with the market. I'm not sure if that has been used before in council, but I'm not sure I understand. All rentals are in the market pool. Renters have a choice of where they go to rent from. It's through
the chair.
And we're in a market where it's very unaffordable, so we typically want rents to go down.
Somebody else do that.
Yeah.
It's not a trick question. It's just trying to understand from an elementary perspective. The of the 28 units compared to the market, 14 of those will be subsidized, and the rest will be at average market rates for what those buildings are.
Yeah, and when like subsidized being the key word there, the market rents in this building allow for the below market rents to coexist.
So subsidized, basically the government or the taxpayers are paying for that.
Yeah.
The question I have is on and it's maybe more philosophical, but I sort of wonder why government would be playing in the market game at all, because governments are notorious for being inefficient. They are. And so I guess it's maybe a program, but I just question that whole idea, because by having somewhat of an unfair advantage in the markets, it's a disincentive for the private sector to actually be building. So I won't dwell in there. It's probably maybe one we do over a beer or something later.
At least an interesting anecdote related to that is that prior to the federal government removing themselves from the before recently removing themselves from largely from the affordable housing or community housing construction, the most of the walk-ups and affordable rentals that we still have started out as CMHC funded housing back when they were very much into construction. So then they were market at the time, and as the market appreciated, they were maintained to retain affordability in communities. So I think that's just anecdotally that has precedent. It's not a new model.
Just moving forward, so any funding that the province maybe had or was alluding to this particular unit is not available right now. I think you stated that. It's just there isn't funds right now.
Yeah, so the province won't be opening. We'll get more into funding streams that are open, but yeah, the province's community housing fund was expected. We expected to apply with this design because they announced their forward intakes, and that's no more. So
yeah, they don't have the money.
Pivoting it. Yeah.
So moving ahead. Is the Housing Society doing anything more with this, or does this now just sort of sit on the shelf? Right? And if there's more things happening, what's the timing of certain major milestones? What can we expect in the next few years, kind of thing?
I would say so. The funding program that we're going to talk about, which is the Build Canada Homes federal funding program, it caters to larger groupings of units. So we're still, strategizing and looking at how to best position ourselves to receive grant funding from that program, but it might involve like a tranche or a grouping of developments that other communities are bringing together and putting forward, maybe from the interior or that work with, a particular development consultant. They can be grouped in various ways and brought to that funding program. That is open now. It's just that we hadn't anticipated going to it. And our focus has been on Downey primarily. So that's kind of our next step is to dig deeper into the Build Canada Homes.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Attia, just to deviate from this a bit, because this may be exactly what I was thinking about, but a while ago I talked about why in the heck don't you guys just duplicate what you already have in that 24 unit, put it up, and we were talking about how do we get the financing and that sort of thing to do it. So that now wouldn't go forward because there's no financing available through BC government, but through what you're saying through Canada Builds, maybe through a grouping of units more than one. you may be able to find financing. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that, and just as a like analogy or like a overall way of understanding, when we, you know, we were able to build 24 one-bedroom units on Humbert Street, the Bridge Creek development. We, being the board that was that was doing that as volunteers before I started, but we're able to do that and it met a community need. Those units have a wait list that's miles long. Like there's no shortage of demand for them, but the need of the community will change over time, and we're hearing that seniors are needing housing more and more. And that's why we would iterate our design is to be responsive to the community and make sure that we're addressing what's needed at the time.
No, I appreciate that because I know that we have seniors that are what I call overhoused, where they've lost their partner, they're in a 3 or 5 bedroom house or wherever, and there's no place for them to go to downsize to stay in the community, but they've had to, put their taxes on hold and basically live in hand to mouth sort of thing in those places where we could be utilizing those homes for families. They could sell them if they had a place like this to go to.
Mhm.
So just encouraging that we're able to move forward with something. And my concern is if we're totally dependent upon where the government gives out handouts, which is really taxpayers' money, by the time we get to building these sorts of things, you're as a nonprofit, you're kind of bound by those legal rules. But by the time we get to this profit, we're not going to need it because the private market will have already built it. That's my concern with any of this. So it's the same thing going back to Downey Street. I thought we were at a lower level, topped out like 80 million or something, and now we're here at 96. And you don't have much control over that because it costs more to build. It's, those sorts of things. I look at that and go, okay, so are we putting good money after bad into something like that? But that's totally in the government's bailiwick. We're just, it seems like we're just along for the ride, and which is a little concerning as we move forward.
Yeah, and I think that opens a really important discussion and looking into our future as a housing society. There are going to be downturns, and if we continue to operate just as we do now, our rate of development will not will not be as ambitious. It's going to be dictated to us by the amounts of funding that are available. Whereas we see, more sophisticated housing, non-market housing developers are they're the ones that can actually drive development and move these plans forward in the absence of funding, and then position themselves to be either first in line for the funding that does come up. Whistler will get an application and a building into every available funding stream at every opening, and their plans will be advanced enough that they're an easy group to say yes to. So when council originally explored the idea of whether to create a housing authority, whether to support the current housing society, to what led to our partnership agreement and building up the society today. The goal was to level up and be able to drive our destiny when it comes to housing rather than wait around.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Any other comments from council? Carry on, please.
So yeah, that brings us to our next project. So happy to share that RCHS has submitted a formal land disposition to a proposal to the city of Revelstoke. This came after work with BC Hydro, led to an opportunity to develop new housing and in a way that's rapid and can bring units online for Res 6 dam development and construction project that will be the first construction project, which will be over the next 6 years. So we've been working on this through the partnership agreement that we signed with BC Hydro and City of Revelstoke, mainly to accept pre-development funding from BC Hydro and to look at BC Hydro as a non-traditional funder of housing in our community. So pre-development, that is stalled in other places is continuing with Revelstoke, and has sort of positioned us to put an opportunity on the table now when no funding sources exist really from government, or at least from provincial government. So yeah, the next few slides will go through some of the concept designs that are being proposed now, some of the visuals, and then we'll dig more into the proposal as it stands to the City of Revelstoke to utilize Oscar lands for this housing in an interim period that BC Hydro is occupying those units, and then to create a legacy housing project for the community that will last for the long term. Not dissimilar to a lot of housing that has been developed in Revelstoke for dam expansion. There are numerous developments that have taken that course, and not dissimilar to what got the Housing Society started with a duplex that was funded by $250,000 of BC Hydro funding way back in 2000 with Gen 5. So that's our current visual, our rendering of the buildings that we're looking at. It's only been completed for one building, but a representation of what visually we're looking to bring. And it shows here these there might be tweaks still to meet with the different guidelines, but we're happy with this, how this turned out with the feature design and getting away from what previously was a pretty square design and into something that has a little more shape. There's still opportunity to modify this, but that's where we're at. And then just another view of it from the other side here. So with the first stage housing agreement, RCHS was working on developing workforce housing on Oscar lands and attempting to utilize those lands. They may not be developed for years and years if we are waiting for funding to come out. The alignment with RCHS values is securing that legacy housing for the community, but also preventing the impact to the rental market of a flood of BC Hydro workers that would be coming with the project. So it is twofold, but really it is a long-term investment in housing that the Housing Society is looking to secure.
So potentially how many units? You're getting to that?
Yeah. Okay. So in the proposal, the current 3 buildings that we're proposing would be 135 to 145 studio units, and that multi-year lease agreement with BC Hydro would allow for the use of those in the term. The proposal includes full DCCs, permit fees, land lease payment to the city, and property taxes. So the reason being, this is a development. This is not a non-market development to start. It has that future, but it's not. We know that it wouldn't be favored to give BC Hydro a discount on this, and so we've included all those in our proposal. It's on BC Hydro to accept the proposal, and then also on the City of Revelstoke as well. There's a renovation reserve that would be built up through the lease term such that RCHS could renovate these 135 or 143, 145 units into 93 to 95 units following conversion. And that'd be a range of studio to 3 bedrooms that remained. And yeah, at the end of lease. The budget now is at Class C, so it's got about 15% contingency attached to that. And over 50% is at a fixed budget stage now, and the rest is informed by some real data of other construction that's gone on in the community. So we feel that we're probably better than Class C, but I think that's a conservative way to represent our budget at this point. So within that budget, all of the contingencies would be contained, and we don't expect a rise from the total number that's being presented. Construction would be as soon as next year, or as soon as this year, if we're able to get the agreements in place and move through the process. There are more than one entity at the table, so we do have to coordinate those entities to make that happen. It's not a given, but to meet the timeline, the aggressive timeline for Unit 6 construction to start, the proposed schedule would having construction and servicing utilities and road starting as soon as this year. Local contractors would be used for all the site work and anything that is being done and makes sense to do locally. So installation of the road, the foundations, the various parts like significant infrastructure pieces would all be local contractors. And then the partner that we're working with is out of community developer.
And so where would these go? You're going to show us that.
Here we are.
Okay.
So pointed out the 28 unit design that RCHS has completed. That's across from Bridge Creek. These 3 buildings would go on the south side of Humbert Extension, and they're circled in red there. The development would fund the road and utilities for all of Oscar Street. So it would make the rest of the land developable, result in that benefit to future projects that wouldn't have to pay for the costs of roads and utilities.
So just confirming this development would pay for the entire servicing of that space. Right?
Yes. We have a bit more work to do. So the land disposition request has been brought to staff, and we intend to work closely with them to get that ready to present to council. There's generally a 30-day window for staff to work and bring a proposal in front of council. We're amenable to what staff recommend as if things do come up, but right now we expect to complete as much pre-development work as we can before April 16th council, and then are hoping to be back with that detailed presentation at that time. Felt it was important to share this with council and the community based on how advanced things are and the importance of this potential impact and opportunity to the community.
So how many units was BC Hydro looking for originally? Do you recall?
Yeah, BC Hydro was originally looking for 150 to in their design, in our agreement with them. Their needs do fluctuate. They have really high summer periods where construction workforce is working on exterior of the dam, and things taper somewhat as they go into winter. So, yeah, they have some flexibility there, but they need the majority of these units, and we want them to have access to units so that they're, we're not seeing an influx of 140 people to the rental market.
And then, as far as build goes, you build one building at a time, or you build all buildings at one time, so they're up and running in a short course, or how is that proposed?
These would be staged builds with about a 7-month turnaround. Sorry, I think I was referring to Downey with 7 months. 7 months for building with some overlap. That's
And then as far as quality and whatnot, all the minor nuances will go through staff, and they'll weigh in as to what is required for our community, correct?
correct. Yeah, we're going through. We've gone through a structural report that's recommended what would be needed to have these buildings meet since they're being relocated, meet the local code. We're basically, refurbishing these from the ground up, new mechanical, new concrete foundations, new flooring in many of the units, and such that the workforce housing is of a quality that's acceptable to BC Hydro and that we're comfortable with. And then the renovation, the subsequent renovation, we're planning to build a significant reserve up and be able to provide housing that's on par with what the community housing standard that RCHS is built.
And so as far as, I know I'm probably beating that drum here, but just bear with me, as far as quality and type of insulation and snow loads and all that sort of stuff, it needs to meet our local building code, and it will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eric, any other comments from council? Councilor Paul?
Mayor Souls, I'm partially troubled because there has been in-camera information. I think a lot of this is cloaked. There's a lot of information on the street already. And so I'll just request at this point, as I go through the questions, if there's anything from your lens that is clearly going to the in-camera discussion, then probably we should go in recess into that. But there is a lot of information on the street.
Yeah, and I think if we're going to get into the details of the bill, then I think we should go in camera. That's all right, but if you have questions outside that, please go ahead.
Yeah, and definitely there's what needs to be in the public meeting.
Yeah.
Because I think it's my opinion that we are not being forthright with the public on this project.
We as a council or everyone?
I'll say we as council at this point. Of what we know. And I feel that we are being, forced to go into a disastrous project. And it will get revealed to the community if we go down this path. So I'll just go from what I know. So for clarity, then these buildings, are these the ones that, what's the source of the building? You talked about refurbished. And again, I'm not sure that this has been clearly articulated to the public. Again, there's lots of people in the public that know what this is. But let's just be upfront right now what these things are, where are they coming from, and why are they coming from there?
Yeah, so BC hasn't constructed many modular buildings at the time of the pandemic, and to house people. And those were put on leased lands and were subject to a term lease. and now that lease has expired. Vancouver, on the sites that are being redeveloped there, they're building high rises because of the locations. So they don't have an immediate use for a 3-story walk up the same way that Revelstoke would. So the proposal is to bring the shells of these essentially, and some of the utilities that are within those, and make them appropriate for our needs, after verifying that structurally they've been inspected, they've had engineering reports on all the internals, and that the risk for RCHS and the community are mitigated in that process. So the quality of construction is on par with the modular housing, the modular buildings that already exist in the community. It's not a new or a experimental form of construction. This would be making use of an asset such that RCHS could receive that as a donation and then utilize them for community housing in the future.
Do you have a brief follow-up? I have Councillor Cherry has this hand up.
I'll let Councillor Cherry go.
Okay, Councillor Cherry?
I guess I should watch how I word my questions as well.
Okay.
What's the total budget for this project?
Total budget is in the neighborhood of 40 million.
And what's the contingency to convert budget?
15% of that, if I understand you correctly. Oh, contingency to convert.
Yeah, so the contingency to convert them after their studio use would be up for use for the community. How much is that budget?
I think that's getting into like the details of the agreement, but I'm happy to answer what's in there now. It's approximately 25% of that budget would be the conversion contingency that would be built up.
Follow-up, Councillor?
I need a second. I'll rescind my time for a minute.
Yeah, Councillor Palmer, do you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, and it's very difficult, but I do believe, so we have a land disposition request. This is the first that we directly heard that. I guess we were sensing that was coming.
Right.
And you're suggesting the land disposition proposal on April 16th in the regular council meeting to construct these buildings.
That's our hope. We will work with staff to find the date and secure it, but just wanted council to know.
Yeah.
And that would be, for the preliminary land disposition. It would allow us to continue to work on the design with some degree of certainty of consideration, but by no means that final land disposition.
Mayor Soul, so there is no requirement for council to agree to this land disposition.
No. Yeah, that's correct.
And I'm going to make a very strong statement, Mayor Souls. And this is not in any sense any disappreciation for the Housing Society. You're doing good work. There's lots of other things happening. Looking forward to the 4th Street project, these other things. There is enough knowledge in the community, and that I have, that expect strong resistance to these things. At the April 16th. So just for a quick review from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong in any of the steps here, we went out to first of all, a year and a half ago, I think it was in October 2024, the Housing Society was aware of the request from the BC Hydro of the need for the next unit coming in. There was an urgency back at that point. Council first learned about that, I think about a year ago, maybe just a little over a year ago. several months after that. Time's gone by, it went out for a proposal call to have this to the community, of which a number of reputable companies within the community bid on. It was abruptly canceled in the middle of that process for various reasons. Again, I can't remember if that was disclosed in the open meeting or in the closed meeting, but it's known that it was canceled. And then these units, if I'm understanding correctly, are coming from one of the proponents from that request for proposals. That's a flag in itself. And then the quality of these units would not, if constructed new, would not meet today's codes, is my understanding. They're coming from the Lower Mainland. My understanding is that they were for transitional housing, as you described. For whatever reason in the Lower Mainland, they were just put in storage for a period of time. Recently, this year, the provincial government has announced that it's providing funds to the Lower Mainland for traditional housing for reconditioning. These are not, apparently are not good enough for that kind of transitional housing of what these were. And that if we accept this, we'll be coming to Revelstoke. I think in the view of many in the community, and certainly from what the knowledge I have, substandard units, of which we'll inherit after if these are built here. And the optimistic numbers that are here, you say Class C, I don't think they're anywhere close to Class C. I don't see how they could possibly be anywhere to Class C. That will basically be designing a ghetto in Revelstoke. That's my position publicly. Again, there's little nuances that have been in camera that I don't think should be in camera, but just be aware there will be opposition at the April 16th council meeting.
Sure, and I'll just make this statement before I go to Councilor Cherry. So when this was originally brought forward to council, council had said to RCHS, you need to jump through the proper hoops, go through the application process with our planning department. It's at that, and our planning department will flag if they have concerns, and then that will come to council. So they're following the procedure that we asked them to proceed, and then our staff will undoubtedly give us input from their perspective. Am I correct with that, Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Worship.
Thank you for that. Mr. Simon, you just turned on your camera. Did you want
To Your Worship, we have received the land disposition application. Just to clarify further to Mr. Atia's point, it would be for stage 1 under the current development services policy, which is initial. However, this process has not gone through our standard land disposition request. So obviously council has a lot more details on it than we would typically see for a stage 1 application. Staff will be targeting mid-April for this to be reviewed by council.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Cherry?
I'm going to hold my comment to the next meeting. Comments.
Yes, please.
I think that's an unfortunate misrepresentation of what's being brought forward. In that, the poverty reduction strategy met a couple weeks ago, and housing is still the greatest need that Revelstokians have, and bringing substandard housing to them is not the goal of the Revelstoke Community Housing Society. And these units will get brought to a community. We're not the only community that's interested in locating these buildings. We just have an opportunity to make a difference for those Revelstokians in the future who will get to use that housing, and furthermore to support the society to be in a position of housing, of owning assets in a way that just isn't possible through government programs, which would change the trajectory of community housing for the long term. So I think it is unfortunate to look at these as substandard because of where they came from. The structures are solid. They're quality, and we're taking every step possible to verify that statement with engineering reports, with consulting, with a lot of work that I just hope the community doesn't dismiss on the basis of those comments, because it's a lot of work to bring housing forward to the community, and unfortunate to hear those comments.
And so,
when the need is there.
Councilor Lando, you want to weigh in, and then I'm going to make a statement.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Sauls. Yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, on more of a point of procedure. I disagree with the characterization when more details are available through the land disposition and as staff evaluate the application bill and subsequent stages of a development should it go ahead. They are bringing ensuring that what we are constructing is adequate, whether it be engineering, structurally, or interior. The plan is to return it to the factory for upgrades, etc. But one thing I want to point out is that with closed meetings, with in-camera meetings for council, the Housing Society does not control what goes in or out of a closed meeting. That is entirely determined by staff and voted on and approved by council. So in essence, it's entirely up to council on what we do. And at the start of any meeting, if we feel that there is something that should not be in a closed meeting or should be in the open meeting, then we can discuss that and make that change if we see it's appropriate. I think what I have a challenge, and we're all challenged with the requirements for confidentiality, et cetera, when we're in the closed meetings, in the sense that, sometimes you have to be guarded on making sure where the facts come from and whether it is a closed meeting thing. But in my experience, council has asked for communications and presentations from the Housing Society, and they have, I think, almost more than any other similar organization that we interface with, provided us, at the drop of a hat, provided us with, in this case, as early as possible communication. So the idea is like a week or two after something happens, so like we can find out right away and bring it down here. So I guess my concern is a little bit in that sort of having something in a closed meeting that we decided to put in a closed meeting, that we voted to put in a closed meeting, and using that as sort of, position to, criticize the group, I think is a little bit unfair, because, they say, hey, we're communicating early. And we essentially say, hey, come on down on this date. They show up and they talk about what's going on. And to say like that there's some sort of, blame on the society members for hiding something, I don't think is accurate at all. And I think it can be challenging from I've certainly heard from the board on comments like that we do it that way. So just to note, we control that. Furthermore, the society also has a standing section.
I need to reply because there's an allegation that's not true there.
Okay, go ahead.
Just for clarity, I was not putting blame on the Housing Society. I absolutely believe the Housing Society, in good faith, is doing what they're mandated to do.
Good.
I believe that. So I just want to make sure that, because there's a statement that I'm putting blame on the Housing Society. No, I'm talking about council.
Okay, so and I'm just going to intrude here. So we've got a presentation. I would like the presentation to be completed. Our CHS is bringing us this presentation in the public forum in good faith. And so I think we're obligated to listen to the presentation. We may have opinions one way or the other on it as it proceeds through our planning stages. our staff will communicate to us as to concerns that they have, and they will communicate back to our CHS with proposals saying, hey, these need to be changed to meet our needs in our community. They will communicate that to us, and then it will come to council at whatever date presented by staff. Am I correct with that, Mr. Chips, Mr. Simon? So I just, I rather than get into a discussion about quality or anything like that, I made some statements because I didn't want to delve into anything that we may have heard in camera. But so I'm not cloaking anything. I'm just saying, let's listen to what's here and let's move on. And then it'll go through the proper procedure, through our staff, and back to this board to basically weigh in and to go through the process, whether it's the land disposition, housing, or whatever the case may be. Are you all okay with that? Okay, brief, and then I'm going to go to Council Chair, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Sills. Just to conclude the statement with one more point is that we have the City of Revelstoke on our every monthly meeting that we have listed as a standing item. So staff and council members are always welcome to attend the meetings. We have them available by video or in person, so those are always open, and staff are often there presenting on various items that we're doing or listening in. So this is another example of open communication. And the point for me, and this is not just me speaking on my behalf, this is the clear feedback from board members, many of them on past statements that council members have made on social media, that they feel that, very clearly that they are being attacked for something and that it is unfair, and that they came in good faith to a closed meeting to communicate as early as possible. Yet, and they're here in the meeting, and they felt that way. So to say the blame is just on council making an error, well, I think that is interpreted by others as criticism. So I just wanted to say that, that is the feedback I've heard. Thank you.
Good. Council Chair, do you have a comment?
Yeah, just in addition, we also have a council rep that should be reporting all of these to us as well. I'm just curious, as per the process, we have the ability to release items from in camera. Do we not?
Yes, correct.
So then just for council's, for something for council to ponder, we can bring this back, release that information, have a full discussion in the public at a later date.
Great. Appreciate the comment. All right, Mr. Atiyah, could you carry on, please?
Yeah.
I'm sorry if we've kind of thrown you off the.
No. I guess there is one lingering thing that I do want to address, and it's the I think it has to do with the character and the forthrightness of the housing society in our dealings with as far as it goes as proposals. There are clear and well understood ways to dispute proposal, the way that a proposal is carried out, and it brings risk to the society to share that something was done improperly when we followed all of the steps that are required of us and followed the structure of the proposal that we carried out to the T. So there are hurt feelings in some, like there are unfortunate circumstances that surround some of those that surround business as it stands, but everything that the housing society has done to date is above board and clearly within legally within what is allowed to be carried out, and I just have to state that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So getting back to the photos in front of us, you've come up with a design. It's going through the process. It will go through our staff. You will communicate wholly with them as to whatever they need to do. I'm not getting into how the process works because I'm not a staff member. That's operations.
Mhm.
They'll make sure that the things that you're bringing forward or any developer bringing forward are suitable to the community. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And we may have questions of staff when this eventually comes to this table for.
Yeah, and we
Decision.
welcome those questions. The development won't be, will be better if it is scrutinized and the questions are presented so the council understands exactly what's being brought.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Just to a wrap up kind of.
A couple of minor questions on.
Yeah, okay.
So the first occupancy, I think he's mentioned some, but the first occupancy, what would be the anticipated date?
First occupancy is targeted for, let's say like spring of 2027.
Spring 2027? Okay. And is that like optimistic or is that, feel that's realistic?
It's realistic.
If we have a normal snow year?
The real challenges are with like procedures and approvals. At this point, the construction schedule we feel is quite accurate.
Okay. I think that's everything for now.
Okay. State of funding. Where do we find the money bag?
We lost one, which we alluded to. So potential funders still exist. There is funding out there. It's not in the, it's in a new program, the federal Build Canada Homes program, which is untested and therefore has, they will be, building the plane as they try to fly it. So there's going to be nuances that we're figuring out alongside them as we apply for funding, and we intend to.
Is this the funding that our new prime minister has announced and they basically said we're going to give money and don't know how the hell we're going to get the money?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And just for clarity, none of this has to do with the BC Hydro. That's all totally separate.
Well, this is potentially linked. The BC Builds program is still available from the province and does support financing for construction. They've partnered with various employers to bring housing online that can be retained in the community before, and are experienced at evaluating what those financing packages look like, how they support communities and societies long term, and we've had preliminary discussions with them and staff just to verify this is eligible. And with their guidance, we're forming the proposal that will fund these housing units for the lease period that BC Hydro occupies them, and getting evaluation on the period subsequent to lease, so that it meets their risk guidelines as far as operating that housing long term, because it would be BC Housing that has a 35-year mortgage on these units. So while, so they want to de-risk this as much as us. They're holding the financing for it. And
The BC government is holding the
Yeah.
financing. So if you don't mind, Councillor Palmer, I don't want to take away from probably your next question, but so BC Hydro is not dipping into their deep pocket to finance this. It's BC or RCHS having to go out to find financing to be able to put this project together. Is that correct? There's no skin in the game for BC Hydro. Is that a correct term, maybe?
I think that they're not a traditional housing financer, so they'd be, exiting their lane pretty cleanly to try to do that. What they are bringing to the table is funding that enables this to go through and pays off a significant amount of the mortgage, such that the Community Housing Society can take over those units at the equivalent, what we're proposing, of $200,000 a unit, which is just unreachable and in this day's market and would be by far and away the most affordable housing that we're also can expect in the future. So
Okay.
that's the target we're aiming for. And that we'll have evaluated by BC Builds, and they've stated that if approved, they would be coming, before council to share their findings as well.
Councillor Palmer, thank you for your patience while I asked that.
Yeah, no, actually, that was good. It's actually helpful, and helpful, a little bit concerning, a little bit of the commitment from BC Hydro. If I could just talk like sort of overall, and maybe this is more for council as we, move ahead, making approvals or helping to facilitate our partners in housing initiatives. The world has changed in this council term as far as housing, but specifically in Revelstoke, the market has fulfilled, not necessarily in what most people would consider an affordable range, but has picked up a lot of that. And so now there's a lot more housing in the community. So whether that's RMR, which is arguably affordable because you can have a lifty afford to live in their housing.
Their housing.
And that's taken off an enormous relief for the entire community, for other people wanting to attract employees, because now those people aren't competing with the basement suites or whatever other units. On top of that, with the other new construction sort of in the middle market, planning department, 5 years ago was talking a lot about the missing middle. A lot of that has been built up in various places within the community, a lot of inventory, to the point that they aren't selling really fast. I was talking to one developer, the number of townhomes. They're saying this is barely a break-even proposition in Revelstoke, and whereas they're anticipating they would have got snapped up. So we've got more and more housing that's come onto the market. We get with the 4th Street coming ahead, that's a whole lot more coming into sort of the lower level entry rental, of course, coming on. Then on top of it, there is factors like CP. A number of employees are going to be leaving our community, creating another gap. So that urgency that this council came into 3 years ago, it's a very, very different lay of the land. And I think we need to be very careful that we're not trying to catch up on something that the ship has already passed as we move ahead. And through the mayor, I will say, Taha, I know I ask hard questions. I believe it's my role to do that. And I'll continue to do that. But I also applaud the work that you and the Housing Society is doing in the segment. This is a partnership, the skin in the game this council has, not us individually. We're putting the skin of our community in, and that's what I'm trying to represent here. And so I'm happy to meet it with any individuals that finds I'm speaking too strongly. I know I go right to the edge. But I think it's much better to have this dialogue rather than saying, okay, no, we're not going to approve that. If you go and do a whole bunch of work, you come April 16th and then it gets delayed and you have no hope of meeting those very ambitious timelines. Like I say, 1.5 years has already gone by, and we're hoping to have these in place in a little over a year. And yet we're still at the pretty elementary steps on that. I'll continue to do that as an elected official. But I do appreciate you as an individual and the work that Housing Society is wanting to, has graciously volunteered to do. It's hard. And, I guess maybe it's a little taste of political attacks that we get individually as well as elected officials. But I just want to make sure that's clear. And I do have a question, Mayor Souls, just on the minutes. So I've seen the meetings that Housing Society, yes, we do get it's in our calendar. It usually is conflicting with other meetings that I have. and I know that's the case for some other counselors that maybe are interested. One of the things we don't get is the minutes. I'm just wondering if there's minutes taken, if that could maybe be more freely shared with council, so then we kind of know what's going, because we, without us actually being there for that period of time or zooming in, we're not getting that information. So I guess that's a request that we get those minutes so that could be added onto our council agenda.
Yeah, that could definitely be added. I think, yeah, it'd be a good way to ensure that the questions and the conversations are coming up routinely with council. So yeah, we can commit to providing those.
It might have mitigated a couple of questions that I had, and Councilor Cherry had some different questions that were sort of more pointed, and maybe having that pre-understanding would be helpful. Thanks, Mr. Souls.
All right, thank you. Mr. Attia, please carry on. I think I short-circuited, you were going through the funding, potential funding.
Yeah, no, thank you for those comments, Councilor Palmer. I don't want to come across like I'm getting personally offended about this, but I think it is important for council to have the full perspective of the housing need in the community, and that isn't matched up with the market, the housing sales market, which is in the $700,000 to $900,000 region for a purchase of a new townhome or whatever it might be. So I think it's important for council to have really an understanding of the need that you are addressing. And it's for those renters that the employee workforce housing is being built not out of goodwill, although it might include some goodwill. It is great that it's being built. It's operational need that these businesses are facing, and choosing to invest in protecting their operations by creating this housing. The rest of the community and the rest of the workforce in the community doesn't necessarily benefit from those units, and they're largely the groups that I think it'd be important for potentially the social sector to speak to and to get some real information, like some real data and information in front of council, to be able to quantify and show the housing need that is apparent to anyone who has a housing wait list, which we do. The lines are long, and the housing demand, for someone who's renting and can't necessarily afford a luxury rental, are very, very different than those that we might have a perspective into from looking at the real estate app or even on market rental sites that often post like quite expensive rentals. That's just a very different what surface presentation of the need for housing. I sit on the social development committee, and I would welcome the question to go to the social development committee to get those comments. But at any rate, we will be requesting their support attached to our proposal, just to quantify and show the need that for housing that still exists and may not be as apparent as when the agreement was signed.
Thank you. All right, let's move on.
We've spoken enough about the community housing program, so I'll skip that. So yeah, we are touching on the business plan and partnership agreement that council adopted in 2024 and that we moved on in 2025. Some of the feedback that went into the business plan, and it was quite thorough and had a lot of engagement and input from staff was to focus on the speed of new unit creation, to minimize taxation impacts to whatever extent possible, target innovation and efficiency, to seek fair compensation for services and make sure that we were operationally in a good place, and demonstrate that link to council and really draw the through line. Those are what drove the priorities and the motivation to get involved with the project and to prioritize what's been brought in front of council. We, you know, we are proud of the work that has resulted. Just a report on some of the development objectives that were set out in our partnership agreement. So that Downey in year one has been completed. The design development of the further 100 units of a further 100 units was in progress as of last year and has been updated to those 143 units that are being proposed in the land disposition. Pending FPA approval will be on target, on schedule for the construction of Downey Street. And in 2027, we've updated our unit targets to actually go up from what was proposed in the business plan, and hope we have the opportunity to bring those to the community. There's a following written report being submitted to staff following this, so in line with the end of the our audit, so that we submit audited financial statements and report on the funding that's been spent towards development and some operations for Revelstoke Community Housing Society. And overall, just want to thank council for your support. Thank staff for working with us throughout these projects. Development isn't easy or straightforward, so we definitely appreciate the support when needed, and we're excited to start delivering some housing.
So, Mr. Attia, when do you expect you can make an announcement to say, hey, we're putting a shovel in the ground on Downey Street?
You'll see the sign probably in a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
With a date?
March 18th is an expected update from BC Housing. So that's, as soon as March 18th.
That's a good day. It's my mom's birthday, so it better be a damn good announcement. She needs a good birthday present. She's in her 90s.
She deserves it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Any questions from council? Any further questions?
Just to comment on the council's awareness. This council, I think probably Mayor Souls, I think yourself and council is probably more than any other council aware of housing, affordable housing. And this council has done a lot. So bent over backwards on the Downey 4th Street project to make that happen. Any delays on that certainly are not a result of council or staff. They've gone way above the call of duty to ensure that any kind of processes that would get through. And I would suggest even compromising some quality on that. And we were been there before and worked with a housing society to get something that's going to be a reasonable legacy going forward. But even with the private sector like RMR, this council, actually I think it was the previous council that did the housing, the employee housing approvals, and expedited that and tried to work with them before. Certainly the poverty reduction strategy, which has been updated many times before this council and previous councils, has been adopted. And I think it's very, very clearly understood of that need. So that I think this council in general continues to welcome that feedback and understanding in some of the nuances of the need of social housing. Thank you.
Can I elaborate a little bit? I certainly didn't mean to be critical of the amount of support and the support that has come from this council. It's been tremendous, like beyond what a lot of other communities are committing to. And I think what I would stress is that housing is cyclical, and markets are cyclical. Investment in our resort community will be cyclical, and the commitment from our community to meet the affordable housing need, it should not be cyclical, because investing in housing units that can come about in 10 years, that could be several cycles of housing demand waxing and waning from now. And almost, and if we believe in this community and the growth that we all know is happening here, it's far different than when any of us, if we moved here, than when we moved here. And the housing demand will continue to rise. I spent a lot of time as the city's community development coordinator investigating housing and looking into housing markets in resort communities, and not one regrets their investment in affordable housing. It's as far as I believe, and I believe this council understands, a core piece of infrastructure for the community and the future of the community going forward. So that's why I wanted to address the housing demand comments was to ensure that is very well stated in the update, and not as a way of saying that this council has questioned the investment they're making.
Councillor Cherry.
Thanks. Sorry to change the tune here. I'm not quite done being a little bit pointed and correct. So if I can through the chair, Taha, is RCHS managing the rental units at River's Edge and Columbia Gardens currently, or is it still going to a third party?
No, that was so. Our business plan proposed to manage those units, and it's a good opportunity because I think it aligns really well with the community housing values and what we're working towards to work with BC Housing. Those are BC Housing buildings purchased by BC Housing. So we welcome the opportunity to. We were directed to work on new development, and that guided our strategic plan and what we've done since. So that's been the focus, but certainly expanding our property management portfolio is something that RCHS is very interested in and will support us in the future.
Well, then maybe I'll just kind of push you towards that as well. I'd like to see RCHS take over those units. Council's been getting email complaints that units are being left open, left unfilled for months, even over a year on some cases. We've spoken with community connections, with the women's shelter, with the outreach program, and as well as with neighbors. So if there's a way to have those better managed, and if that's under RCHS, I would encourage you guys to go after those contracts and let us know as City Council if there's anything we can do to help.
Yeah, we'd be happy to come for a letter of support when we express interest in those, and can address that with BC Housing at the next opportunity.
Councillor
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to follow up on that point. Mr. Tia had mentioned it, and that the direction to postpone getting into management was from the city, generally
In
speaking.
our strategy, generally
Yeah.
speaking, the opportunity hasn't come up yet. So we could have shifted if the opportunity came up and sought that guidance from city staff or council at the time, since it's in the partnership agreement. But yeah, it's not been the priority because of that, but the opportunity hasn't come up. And I see
Ms. Wells, any comments?
I would also, oh, I froze. I would also echo Matt, our Councillor Cherry. Like, we have also heard and met with those different groups, and they're sharing because they're asking the same questions. What's happening? Why is it happening? And what can we do about it? And collectively, what can we do about it? So although the opportunity to bid or propose to take those over hasn't opened up formally, we are now hearing maybe we should move forward and just express interest, unsolicited interest, and say to BC Housing, to the manager of those properties, we're ready now. And so if there's an opportunity and we can have letters of support from seniors, from Community Connections, from the Women's Shelter, and from the city, like that's a pretty strong argument. Plus their mandate requires, if there's a nonprofit provider, that they seek that as an operator first. There just wasn't one when they bought the buildings that was able to do it. I don't think it's a good idea for us to wait for them to come back up and the contracts to end. I think it behooves us to let the BC Housing owner know we're ready and we're ready to engage in that process at any time because of what's
Well,
happening.
I could tell you this, I would be happy to support you guys
Yeah.
in that. I'm sure council would as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to use the term mismanagement, but when I find out there's empty units that have been empty for a while
Totally.
in a community where we're screaming for housing, any way to get those filled, I'm happy to support.
Okay, thank you.
Any other Councillor Lennon?
Yeah, just on that point, this will be, I guess, that's something we consider maybe communicate and liaise a little bit with staff on maybe putting a resolution forward at a subsequent council meeting. Good point, because it's in our strategic plan. It's in our plan, so it's something we can do.
Good. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Attia. And to the board members present, I appreciate the work that you're doing. And we appreciate the update. We normally give you 15 minutes and we've gone 1 hour and 3/4. So
It's hard to
thanks for
cram a
that.
year's worth of work in, but thank you for your time.
Councillor Orlando, last word.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thank you, Mr. Attia. I just also want to acknowledge the board members joining online, and President Sheena Wells online, and then we have Mr. Mo Sutherland and Mr. Brooks Hill in the gallery today. Thank you guys so much for all the hard work you've been doing over the years. It's just fantastic. One of the first, my last point is one of the first acronyms that came up was FPA, and we've said that so many times we assume we know what everyone knows what that is, but that really is a big deal. And as we learned today, we're 6 days away from BC Housing's estimate, and I want to emphasize that point is that we don't control that exact date that they come back to. And as is outlined in the report, we are ready to mobilize for construction in a couple weeks after that. So we're hoping like early April to be in the ground on site with the equipment getting going. So that is super exciting. And I just want to thank Mayor and Council and staff who have been working closely with us on this one. It's been a great experience. We started out with our partnership agreement that we worked on and signed together, and that's been a great guiding document for us to have. It included, obviously this project as well as other projects and rental needs. At the time, there was concern that the timeline was really aggressive, and I would say it was. And I'm happy to say that we made it. We are on schedule. We have submitted according to the schedule. That was 10 months of really hard work to get to the Downey Street project. So it's super, super exciting. And one thing I want to say is, the sign, that's already been designed is ready to go. We're waiting for the word. And we want to see, and we'll be extending invitations to mayor, council staff, and many others in the community and beyond the community and partners to get to that grand opening. It might not happen until after there's construction activity going. I just wanted to forewarn that. Don't feel left out if you see someone digging a hole. We haven't forgotten you. We're just going to need to coordinate with lots of people to get them here. So super exciting time to be meeting schedule and meeting community needs, as was so clear to everyone. And thanks again for the presentation, the board members.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to departmental updates, starting with the 2025 annual summary of the RCMP. So staff level Dodds, if you'd like to comment.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to set myself up again here. Your worship. Not with anyone, the same one, sure. First time I've used this here, so.
His password is just password.
Yeah. Ah, beautiful.
There we are.
We have the technology. Okay, well, oh, do you want me to wait for,
No, carry on.
okay.
The last thing we want anybody to do right now.
Well, that's a tough act to follow. But I'll try to be brief and succinct here. Thanks for having me. As per usual, I've brought Sergeant Rondeau with me as backup today, in case you have any questions. 2025 summary for our year-end summary there for ARCMP. Hang on, is this working? Maybe not. Let's go this way. Quick year in brief. Total of just over 4,000 complaints taken in 2025. I think I mentioned last year about this time that we'd probably push over the 4,000 mark, and we have. That's pretty much pre-pandemic, back to pre-pandemic numbers. So break down there, 662 persons investigations, 929 property, 158 notice and orders and tickets on the general duty side within the city, 272 violation tickets, 40 calls for service at RMR. We broke that out just to give you an idea of what kind of response we're doing to the ski hill itself. 36 search and rescue calls last year. Over 5,000 phone calls and counter calls to our office. It's pretty significant. 351 police information checks. Those are for volunteers or people that are seeking employment.
That's a significant number for this community, is it not?
Well, I don't have comparisons to other communities in your worship, so I can't answer that exactly. But, I think it's pretty significant. 75 prisoners lodged last year and 1 new electric vehicle, which I shall show you. I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but those are the persons' investigations. I did a 4-year. I want to mention Francesca assisted me with doing the nice layout on the new and improved city format here. So I'll give her the shout out for that. I provided her with some of the stats, and we built the thing. So 4-year. On the left side of the screen there, 4-year recap or a comparison, I guess you could call it, on these files. So as per usual, everything's generally pretty consistent over the years. We do have this tiny spikes here and there, but again, the numbers are so small that, a couple spikes here and there is really, negligible, I suppose. No major things jump out here for me. The one, I suppose the one thing we have gone down in 911, abandoned 911 calls and well-being checks. Not sure why that is exactly, but we've dropped in that area there. Harassment and threats, we are back up kind of like to previous levels in 2022. But again, not exactly sure what the exact reasoning for that is. On the other side there, that Q1, Q2, that just breaks down the 2025 year for quarters, just to show you that we do have, like certain quarters do spike up, especially our summer and winter quarters there in certain places. And property investigations, pretty consistent as well. It's funny enough, we're bang on with 2024 as 2025, which is interesting. Slightly higher in just overall property offenses or calls for service, and that's the breakdown in the quarters again. Not really any rhyme or reason there for the most part, but certainly theft mischief, that summer time frame is where we see a lot of our property stuff happening. When we have a increase in summer traffic, thieves don't like to be cold, so it's kind of a trend that, you know, more property crime happens in the warmer months of the year.
Oh, sure.
Over footprints of the snow.
Well, that too, exactly. I made a bit of a mistake on this. It's warnings and violation tickets, but this specifically is warnings. So it just shows you, breaks down where we're writing those warnings across the board. So I'll just point out that Arrow Heights is a kind of a normal concern on nickel, etc. So that's kind of in this area here. Where else? Downtown, of course, where most of the population is. And then we do spend some time in the Trans-Canada, obviously, east and west of town. That's mostly, a lot of these are as a result of motor vehicle incidents where we'll write a warning or a ticket as part of the investigation.
Sure.
So this is violation tickets. So again, you can see that our stats are higher kind of on the east-west Trans-Canada, and then in the downtown core. And that's pretty consistent over the last 4 years for the most part. It depends. Tickets are funny, tickets and warnings. Sometimes you'll have members that are working for you that are really traffic oriented. Then we don't, then we have, you know, it fluctuates. We try to keep one of our mandates is traffic enforcement. Of course, we've talked about it before, traffic safety and enforcement, impaired driving. But it just, we fluctuate in tickets depending on who's working here and who's out and about. One thing I do want to add to this, which I didn't add in the graphic, is that I checked with BC Highway Patrol. And so in the 2025 period within the municipality, so basically and this includes Highway 1, but basically the radius of the municipality that we cover here, they wrote 630, or they had 636 traffic contacts. So 636 traffic contacts. That is their mandate. That's what they do. So it's a high number. 305 charges, 101 contacts that didn't result in a charge, 48 warnings. So they don't write too many warnings, just FYI. And 182 notice and orders. And so the notice and orders that they do write are generally for like motor vehicle infractions, like mechanical infractions. So, you know, bad tires, windshields, et cetera, et cetera. And that a notice and order is basically an order for someone to go get that deficiency fixed. Yeah. So that's good. They're doing their part in the city. Their mandate is technically not municipal traffic, just for everybody's information. They are mandated for the provincial highway system, but they do work within the municipality at my request, and also when they're doing certain provincial-wide initiatives. So they were doing cell phones and seatbelts the other day on Victoria. They've been in Nickel doing some work in that area. They do school zones, etc. So,
oh, great.
Yeah. Immediate roadside prohibitions, 24-hour suspensions. This is one of our goals and mandates that we have locally that we are passionate about, is road safety and impaired driving. I haven't made much of a comparison across the board on our district dashboard, but we are a high flyer when it comes to impaired driving enforcement. So we, as you can see, in 2025, we did over 90 immediate roadside prohibitions. So those are 30-day driving prohibitions and 30-day vehicle impounds and 90-day driving prohibition. That is a provincial under the Provincial Motor Vehicle Act. We proceed generally with these now instead of criminal code impaired driving charges, because as most people know, or some people know, criminal code driving charges are criminal, and they have to go to court, and it could be a couple of years before someone gets their their outcome. These are immediate. That's why they're called immediate. So we're focusing, the province focuses on this now, and it's very, it has great effect. But it's also concerning that we have this many people on our roads driving impaired.
Do you
So-
find this as a better way of people learning versus the court system?
I believe it is because it's immediate and it's there's not, you can dispute these, but it's a dispute board. You don't go to court for this.
Okay.
You do not go to traffic court. So it's most people, I would say, that we interact with learn quite quickly. There are some repeat offenders, but greater penalties come if you're a repeat offender.
Okay.
Yeah. So you will, if you're from the province of BC, you could be subject to losing your license for a longer period of time under the motor vehicle.
Is there a financial, like, you're speeding, you get points? Is it that sort of thing attributed to this as well? Where ICBC says you got whacked for 90 days, we're going to impose a fee on your insurance.
Well, insurance, I'm not 100% sure about that,
Okay.
but on IRPs, there are points, right?
I'm not sure what points there is a fine.
Well,
associated with bring up the hog.
yeah.
Okay.
And as well as, of course, all the financial burdens of the tow and the impound and getting the license back. It's pretty substantial, it's like $4,000 or $5,000.
Wow. Okay.
We don't deal with the point side.
Yeah.
That's the province, but any action as a result of multiple impaired driving IRPs. So the other thing that the graphic that's on here is there's 24-hour suspensions by drug. So because of as you can see, like in the last 2 years there, we've had an increase in those two. And that's partly because we've, because of decrim, number one, but also changes in the laws, et cetera, we've done a lot more training on recognizing drug impaired drivers. So we still don't have like a roadside screening device that's approved in Canada for use for drugs, because drugs could be a multitude of different substances that you could have in your body. So we have physical physiology type exams that we do, and members are trained on that. Many of our members are trained on those. They're drug recognition experts, and we conduct those types of impaired driving investigations as well on a pretty regular basis. Most of them result in 24-hour suspensions. So if we have a motor vehicle collision where there's been injuries or substantial damage, then we may enter into an impaired driving criminal code impaired driving investigation where we would go to a different level where we would require some sort of bodily substance to be provided at the hospital. So long story, but that's just a kind of a snapshot of what we're doing on the impaired driving side with drugs as well. Collisions that we attended within the municipality. So just about 140 of them, 130 odd collisions. Very few injuries, luckily, and no fatalities. But we do have the odd fender bender for sure. Fleet update there. We did receive our new electric truck, so we're pretty excited with that. It's been well received by the members. They and it is a pilot, so we're a testing detachment, and we're reporting back on this. We have there's a little code inside the vehicle that you're scan with your phone, and then you fill out a survey. You're supposed to fill it out every so often when you drive it. So yeah, they're quite interested in our feedback. I don't know what the program's gonna look like because it sounds like the Lightning has been discontinued by Ford. So for now anyway, but we really like it. It's it's a great police vehicle. One of the drawbacks is the overall battery life for a full shift. But we do, the members do charge it kind of mid-shift and stuff.
Do you have a charger? Did the Ford
Yes.
give you a new charger?
Through the province, we actually purchased a charger and it's installed in the detachment.
Okay.
So yeah, a Ford specific charger.
Yeah.
We can charge it externally at other charging stations, but seems to be working pretty good. Yeah, it's been a bit of an adjustment, but it's a pretty nice truck. We have one hybrid vehicle that's in our fleet, so and we're likely to see more of those come down the pipe as we replace our current fleet, the Explorer fleet. 9 vehicles in total, so 6 you guys own and 2 are provincially owned, and then 1 federally is that electric truck, which is it's not on the city's dime. It's a pilot, so it's basically an additional vehicle to our fleet. Quick RMR and SAR calls. So I've touched on it earlier, but the breakdown of just kind of property and missings and assists, general policing assists at the ski hill. So it's pretty consistent for the most part.
So when you get an assist call, my boyfriend's missing, you guys gotta go, you got ski gear, they give you a free pass? You get
Yeah, unfortunately not. Well, sometimes we would go to we oversee a search, whatever type search there might be. So it's either if it's on RMR property, well, which these would be, it would be through the ski patrol would generally look after that. They will ask for assistance through search and rescue. If they're outside of bounds, then that goes to the search and rescue side. And they've been pretty consistent, a little bit less calls this year, over the year for 2025 than 2024. But they're still one of the busiest search and rescue groups in the province. Yeah. And they're a great partner for us. And RMR is as well. The ski patrol is excellent, and we work very well together. Administration and staffing. So touch back on what we were talking about earlier on the brief there. Municipal calls for service, rural calls. That gives you a breakdown of both the city and the provincial side. Prisoner count, the phone calls 2599 and their front counter calls 24403. Police checks 351. We have, thanks to finance, we have a point of sale terminal there now, so people can pay for some of those police checks instead of not bringing cash. The federal ones, we still have to have cash, unfortunately, but that's been an improvement for sure. And this is something I wanted to note too. Our transcription hours have gone down quite significantly, and that's because the RCMP is now utilizing an AI program. Transcription program. So we run our audio and video interviews through an RCMP product, an encrypted AI product that basically transcribes our statements that we take from people, and then it significantly cuts down on the transcription time. And then we still need a transcriber to verify it for quality assurance. So
how is it? Is the quality good?
It's really good, and it will do it in multiple languages too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing in a way that we've moved this far in the RCMP, but we're catching up. But it's actually quite a good product, and it was developed in house.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a great tool, and what it's allowed us to do is free up some of our clerks to do other tasks. And we're able to, we had a lot of tasks that needed to be completed that kind of been put on the back burner for a long time. So a lot of administrative stuff, file purging, et cetera, that we're really starting to clean up on. So it's great.
Oh.
Yeah. So just the quick staffing there. Regular members, 14 municipally funded police officers, 3 provincially funded police officers. We had the addition of the provincial police officer added last year from the province. Our current strength, Our current strength right now is 9 on the municipal contract police officers. We do have some on leave for various reasons. So, and then we have some vacancies as well that we're still trying to fill. Municipal employees 4, we added an additional part-time position last year that council approved in the budget last year, and that's working out excellently. And victim services, our victim services person, showed up to her, Lisa. She has been invaluable. It's been, just great to have someone back in that position and to, take the load off of the police officers to putting people in touch with resources, et cetera, et cetera. At least that's Lisa's job to do. And she works really closely with victims of crime, next of kin, et cetera, for certain files that come across our door.
Wonderful.
Yeah, she's money well spent, in my opinion. So our annual performance planning, I always throw this in, traffic enforcement speed in the municipality. That seems to be one of the biggest things that we get complaints about regularly from both, the city and citizens alike. So we'll still be picking away at that as we can. Traffic enforcement, impaired driving. Obviously, I showed you the IRPs. It's really important that we keep picking away at that. We had 2 police officers I mentioned at my last briefing that won the Alexa Award for the province as very high producing impaired driving investigators. Property theft from auto. We still continue to work on that. Work on our nightly patrols in hotspot areas, which would be closer to Highway 1 usually. And then policing community relations, so our visibility. So something we pride ourselves on. We try to be at all the public events. We try to be involved in the community as much as we can with different events and charity events, etc. And so we'll continue to do that. That also includes seasonal policing. So that's boat patrols, snowmobile patrols, working with the snowmobile club, running races, you name it. We're usually around to help out with that. The mountain bike festival we're part of. We lead the race, et cetera, et cetera. So
just on that, when we talk about visibility and community relations, I was away for the police firefighter hockey match. Who kicked whose butt?
Well, I do concede that the firemen bested us this year, but we'll be back with vengeance next. But we did win 2 years in a row, so we got to share the love a little bit.
That's good.
Yeah.
Councilor Power, did you drop the puck?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was a high stress moment for me.
You did an excellent job.
You didn't fall?
Hey?
You didn't fall?
Oh, no, I didn't fall. No. I was in fear that I'm not a hockey guy, right?
Yeah.
I was in fear that I had to skate, and I haven't skated for 2 decades, and I'm terrible going backwards. So I thought it was going to be the real thing. So it was all good. Yeah, no, it was a fun event. I was amazed just at how much community support, like the Trees for Tots people were out in full force. There was really nice ambience, and thanks for the RCMP, and I think you had to bring in a few extra reserves or whatever, and then the fire department was there in full force. If they weren't skating, they were doing other volunteer activities. So yeah, good job. Yeah.
Well, thank you both. I needed to, when I saw this thing, I'm going, I got to ask that question. Yeah, so wonderful.
And I have to give a shout out to the fire department. They organize pretty much everything there. It's their charity event. We're not just, but we are we show up to play the game and help out as best we can, but they do an incredible job. They raise a great amount of funds. I don't know what the total was for this year exactly, but I know they raise thousands of dollars for that. So it's a great community event, in my opinion. Health IM, mental health screener. I mentioned this before. I'll just mention it again. It is coming in 2 months to our detachment area. It is a provincial mandated program. This mental health screener is cell phone based on our cell phones. It'll be loaded on all of our cell phones. What it does is it promotes safety, improves outcomes, and it has effective oversight. So what it does is standardizes our screening method when we deal with people who have a mental health crisis. And so it allows us to make ask standardized questions, get standardized, basically a level that we take into account when we decide to make a mental health apprehension. What the beauty of this thing is that once we make a mental health apprehension, it translates that information, the key information, to the hospital directly from our phone. So it basically tells the hospital that we're coming, this is who we're bringing, these are the concerns we have. And the data is that once this system gets going and in place, the data is collected for the people that we deal with on a regular basis. And then it also provides a level of officer safety and a better level of our understanding of that subject, even prior to us attending and dealing with that subject. So this is a bit of a game changer for us. It's again a modernization of how we do business, and it's been rolled out in the East Kootenays, at 6 detachments so far. It's already in play in Surrey, Prince George, and a number of municipal police forces in the province. It's in 4 other provinces in the country. And it's been embraced by the province of BC to assist one of the pillars of our mental health strategy from the policing side. So it's going to be really good. The reason I'm kind of passionate about it, I have been overseeing the rollout for all of the Southeast District as the Southeast District lead for this. So working with Interior Health and BCH, the BC Chiefs of Police, the province and the district to have this app rolled out to the front line. It'll be really interesting once we get it going here, which will be on April 28th. And then by May 20th. Yeah, May 29th for us. And the next phase is April 28th. That'll be the Okanagan. And then the rest of the province will continue to roll it out throughout the year.
We'll bring it in and we'll test it, see if it works.
Yeah, we can. Body worn cameras. So this is another big thing coming. We will have these by I've been told the fall. So you'll see RCMP members wearing these come this fall. They improve, obviously, improve our reporting of what occurred when we deal with clients. It covers the members for different complaints, etc., frivolous complaints oftentimes, and it's a record of our dealings with clients. So it's also evidence.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah. So this evidence, it's great evidence for court proceedings. We can take statements with it, and then there's AI transcription for this specifically as well. It will increase some workload for our clerks, and which is, as our other stuff reduces, this may take up the slack there. But it is again going to be it's a welcomed piece of kit that most police officers want, and so we can document our interactions with people accurately, and so that's coming this fall.
And so do you get enough for every member in your detachment?
Yes.
Okay.
Both ourselves and BC Highway Patrol will be issued them, and all frontline personnel are supposed to be wearing them. And then we will have some spares for in case we have some mechanical difficulties or
In case you get broken.
Yes, yeah, they do get broken, unfortunately.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
what else? I have one other thing. Oh, yes, I did. So I have 2 members going to Kelowna next week, 2 weeks from now, to receive the CO's commendation pin for for a fire where they saved a gentleman's life here a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So which is I'm pretty excited about that. That's Constable Casimir Boudreau and Constable Rachel Mandel. So they're both going to receive accommodations from the CO. And that's, we're pretty proud of them for their actions on that evening.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Council, any questions of Staff Sergeant Dodds? Councilor Paul?
Always looking for something to find. 4,000 complaints. How many compliments did you get? And why aren't you recording them? Yeah, anyway, it's the same for municipalities. You frame the compliments, don't you? And put them on your wall, pretty much.
Well, to be perfectly honest, we do get the odd letter and card, and where we assisted somebody in we assisted their kids, or whatever it is. But it's quite heartwarming to get something, some sort of recognition, I suppose, written recognition for sure. So yeah, it's nice, and we do put them up because they're few and far between. So
yes, so thank you for the update on the stats and stuff like that. So you responded to that. So yeah, for us that like those little stats, it's nice little gradual improvements. The 40, oh no, you answered that question. The RMR, sort of the split up of how that's transpiring. You answered the 24-hour suspension thing. So I just have one question that comes up on the sort of the community pages with social media. Somebody finds a driver's license. What should they do so I occasionally go in and you see all this chatter and blah, 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 and they're saying, oh, you're giving it, blah, blah, blah. And I occasionally will say, well, why don't you just take it to the RCMP? Do you like that or not?
Through your worship, I absolutely. If you find someone's identification, a wallet, whatever, you can certainly bring it to us. We do have a pretty steady stream of lost and found items that do come to us. We would prefer that you don't broadcast it on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah, that would be, there's identity fraud, et cetera, that could come out of that. So we would, we don't have a presence on Facebook locally to kind of like, consult on that. Yeah. But you can take it if you don't want to come see us, you can take it back to the courthouse, to the counter there, the BC, whatever they call themselves there, the motor vehicle.
Service BC.
Okay, great. Yeah. Thanks. That's helpful information. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use them, for identity. Next time the popo catch me for speeding, I just go, wait a minute, you don't have long blonde hair. Well, dreaming. Anyway, okay. Thank you so much for what you guys do. It's impressive that you guys give warning tickets. We at the city don't give warning tickets. I can assure you that. I personally got a ticket today and no warning. Anyway, thank you. Thank you. It was part of it. Which answer for the complaint.
There's a reason Cherry's not in town.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the annual report for our fire department. Joseph. Thank you, Staff Sergeant and Sergeant. Appreciate you being here.
Worship and council, thank you for the invitation to follow that show. They have much more impressive numbers than I do. I seem to have had a little bit of problem with this lately. I think last time I had to do a reboot. So yes, we're going to have a brief overview on our annual and quarterly results for 2025. I'll keep it focused on the big picture and what we accomplished, some of the things that changed, and where we closed out 2025. Overall, 2025 was pretty steady for us. You'll see in the future numbers as we go through the report, we'll see some growth trends in some areas, and the growth reflects what's trending in the city itself. So our numbers reflect that as well, and that's our That's our big pressure point. And likely will continue to be. So this is just a quick summary of our numbers in 2025. I think I'd like to just highlight some of these ones here. We had 28 auxiliary firefighters. These are volunteer firefighters that assist the career staff when we get those larger calls and that. We had 9 career firefighters, 1 fire inspector, 1 training officer, emergency program coordinator, 1 fire chief, and following Chris's lead, I thought I would break out our firefighting fleet for you. So we have 12 fire department vehicles. That includes 5 firefighting apparatus. So those are the ones with hose, water, the tools, that sort of thing. And those consist of 1 frontline pumper, 1 second line pumper, a platform aerial truck, a firefighting water tender, and 1 reserve water tender. We have the reserve tender out at the airport. As well, we have 7 support vehicles consisting of 3 command units, 1 utility pickup truck, 1 highway rescue truck, 1 wildland side-by-side, I believe we call them, the 4x4 off-road buggies, and a confined space trailer. And in 2025, the department responded to, or I guess not responded to, I'll reframe that. Volunteer recruitment and retention was, I think, one of our biggest wins this year, we'll put it that way. We started out with 21 auxiliary firefighters. We added 9 and we lost 2. So that's a pretty good number. If you recall the previous years, we were very dramatic with losses exceeding in the numbers of 14 in 1 year. So this growth, I believe, of course, it's only the first quarter because we do our recruiting in the fall and we onboard in January, February, and the rest of the year remained pretty stable with that. Yeah, and I think this is a really good start for a new half of the decade. It says it is 2026. And yeah, I'm going to call that one a win, and we're going to keep that trend going. On fire prevention, 370 inspections completed across the city. Those include the initial safety checks and follow-ups and the pre-site reviews. Continuing to prioritize those high-risk occupancies and ensure that we get to meeting those requirements for those. I will note that approximately half of the inspections conducted were either follow-ups or pre-site inspections, as well as that. And of course, those include the apartments, the hospitals, the seniors complex, and all those various structures there. On our incident response, 534 calls or incidents, so that's down 3% from the previous year of 549. So a small dip, however, it's a 44% increase overall in the last 5 years. So while we did see a small dip, but I don't have any statistic to indicate why that was. We're still looking at a general trend. And I have no indicator to tell me if it's going to take another dip or if it's going to keep return to the increases there. If the resort continues, I suppose we can correlate that the growth will continue with that, or if the winter that the resort saw this season results in an early spring and early summer season, we may see an increase earlier than usual. So that's something I'm interested to watch over the year and see where that goes. Training, always our big focus. We held 87 training sessions in 2025. of all manner of sessions, whether it's personal protective equipment, self-contained breathing apparatus, ventilation, search and rescue, hose handling, that sort of thing. Through all of that work in those hours, how many hours was that? Oh, don't ask that question, please. We could do a little bit of math quickly, but I believe it's usually around 1,800 hours, roughly, give or take. 17 new qualifications earned by the auxiliary firefighters in 2025. So that includes their exterior firefighting, auto X, ropes awareness, hazmat, electrical safety, gas safety, and all those sorts of things. So they start to add up really quick when you get half a dozen people all starting to gain new competencies and qualifications. And throughout all that, we maintained our NFPA aligned competencies training. So that's our maintenance and skills training for the current firefighters, the career firefighters. Just because you've now learned a skill and you've got a certificate that says you've completed that course doesn't mean that you don't, you get stopped training. So you're going to keep those skills up. The muscle memory, the instinct, and keeping those skills current and 3 a.m. ready, so that when we get the call, we're going to be up there and ready to go. The training all aligns with the fire department service level policy, FD1 from 2015, section 5 of the training standards. So that sets out what the fire department is expected to do, and keep maintaining that. Public engagement, good strong community engagement this year. 23 school presentations, whether that was classes K through 3 coming into the school, firefighters going up to the school and visiting with certain classes. And we always do the October Fire Prevention Week with the kids coming through the school. We had 10 Fire Smart outreach events during the year. 0 fire evacuation drills in city buildings. 5 fire evacuation drills in residential buildings. So that could be the Selkirk Gardens or Monarchy Court or those sorts of things. And 4 days of fire extinguisher training for city staff, which we're about to embark on again in April this year for a whole bunch of new staff. So
I gotta come to work that day because I want to get in on that too.
It's usually pretty fun. Well, that's my opinion. Other people may not agree, but for sure. Also pretty active online with some really good growth there as well for the fire department. Thanks to Ms. Williams for pulling this data out for me. In 2025, we posted 217 times on various topics, including incident response, public events, awareness. The Pumpkin Smash was another example of a really good engagement online as well as in person. 5,400 reactions and comments from the community. We generally turn the comments off on our posts. So if it's an incident post, we turn the comments off because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
286 posts were shared by our visitors, 293 clicks. And we've grown the fire department Facebook following from just over 1,600 to 3,500 in the last 5 years. So we're pretty busy online as well because part of the community seeks information there. So it's a good way to provide the community with accurate, up-to-date information to try and minimize the, did you hear what happened down the street? And let us be the ones to provide that base information first.
And that's really important. I appreciate you doing that because people see exactly what's going on, and then there's no question.
Almost missed one here. RAMP, for those that are unfamiliar, is the Revelstoke Area Emergency Management Program. That the city contracts with the CSRD to provide for the city of Revelstoke and Area B. So activities included the obvious meetings, planning sessions, working with the emergency support services and their group there as well. So a full ESS reception center exercise was held as well. The RAMP participated in several, ongoing provincial hazard briefings. So that's whether it's spring freshet, summer wildfire, fall, atmospheric rivers and that sort of thing. And the EOC training program went through some development practical exercises. So we had a large number of city staff participate in a hosted exercise. It was a 2-day program, and it was a success. And we have a final report on that, which I haven't gotten into yet, but I'm going to dig into that and hopefully update you on that as well. On the right-hand side, you'll see the numbers of staff that have training in emergency management operations. Starting with the EOC Essentials, that's what everybody needs to operate within the environment of an activated EOC, including ICS 100. So that's the incident command system. And so everything works under a chain of command and hierarchy. And those are the two minimums that you need to be able to work effectively or safely in an EOC, to be invited, if you will. And then the rest, operations, planning, logistics, finances, information officer, those are the different components of the EOC. So our city staff, for example, finance staff would be participating in EOC finances. For example, communications. And we have a number of our senior staff who have higher levels of training, which would include myself. And we have Fire Smart. I couldn't find any brush fire pictures from 2025, which is a good thing. So this was from the previous year, but this was over in Columbia Park. And this is just a really good example of what can happen if you lose sight of how to responsibly have a backyard fire and don't maintain Fire Smart environment in your backyard. The Fire Smart program expanded again in 2025 with the grant that we had received. 44 assessments were completed with 16 rebates issued. So if an assessment, Fire Smart assessment, results in an expenditure of $2,000 or more, the owner of that property can apply for a rebate grant of up to 50% or $1,000 of that. And so that does show a bit of an uptake in that, as well as the year or quarterly assessments done. It's kind of hard to do an assessment when there's snow on the ground. So there's a lot in Q1, a lot in Q4, so the spring and the summer and the fall there.
I believe, Chief, I believe Lauren does a great job with that. I had her come and assess my home, and we did all the things that she asked for. And then actually had Camille Hamilton arranged for somebody to come and videotape it while they were taking out all material, that sort of thing. Tried to encourage my neighbors, but some of them not going to do that. I've got neighbors now that are going, all my privacy's gone. I'm going, now we're going to build a fence. Anyway, it's a really good program, and it's amazing. You know, when I look at 25 years of material growing, and you got to go, now it's time to upgrade and take the things out for safety of the community. So,
absolutely, Your Worship. It's a challenge for people to keep up with Mother Nature as it replenishes the stuff that you remove and just replaces it again. So it's definitely going to be an ongoing But certainly the whole principle of Fire Smart is to protect your property from fires encroaching. So excellent. Thank you for being such a supporter of the Fire Smart program. Appreciate that. Last year we did the first Wildfire Week, which was an absolute success. There were a number of events that were held, and I think the one that I wanted to just highlight for council was Facing the Flames, with the fire chiefs and BC Wildfire and the regional chiefs coming to Revelstoke and talking about their experiences in their communities, and having the opportunity to speak to the community about what I see could be a challenge for us, and try to make a connection for people between those communities and ours to promote Fire Smart. So thank you for allowing me to promote Fire Smart.
Well, that was really good. I really appreciate you bringing those panelists in to discuss what they experienced in their community. The community engaged. It was well attended, and you look at that sort of thing and go, people are concerned that, we as counselors get those emails. What are you going to do? That sort of thing. And it spelled that out. They were able to answer the questions the community members had. How do we get out? Where do we go? All that sort of thing. So really appreciate that.
Sure. You're welcome, Your Worship. We have a long ways to go, but there's something for us to work on. So in summary, Your Worship and Council, the Fire Rescue Services did have a productive year. It was fairly stable across for our volunteer auxiliary firefighters, and we are going to continue to adapt to whatever increasing service demands are thrown at us, and work on strengthening our fire prevention, our training, and our community events. And thank you for your support. Any questions the council may have, I'd be happy.
Council, any questions for Chief Turlson? Go for it. I know you want to ask it.
Thank you. Thank you for the report and the information. I'll just drill. Yeah, good work. I'm just going to drill on this down into the specifics. So the EOC training level, you have the stats there. So the EOC essentials, you have 23 staff trained. So that's all this. Is that all the city, or is that?
So that's city staff.
Does that involve city staff, or is that just the fire department?
Through Your Worship, to Councilor Palmer. So the 23 city staff that are trained does absolutely include everyone from the CEO to the corporate, to finance, to firefighters, myself.
Right. So that's my
communications
second
officer.
question. So you're one of those 23?
I think so.
Yeah. And then, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but yeah, so what I'm focusing on is the number and what I would consider the importance. So I thought staff did a really good job at that community event and demonstrating, the vests and the role and mingling around and that kind of thing. The numbers feel low to me, maybe the EOC essentials, but if it's everyone, then it feels kind of low to me. It's because, and I'm not going to put you on the spot. So the EOC operations planning, logistics, finances has 0, which is interesting. So those, the 2, and 1, I'm kind of guessing you probably have the training. And so I'm wondering if it's reflective of you as well, because if this is all you, then it's a little bit more concerning. So I'm just flagging it more, and it's probably more for our CAO, Mayor Souls, because I don't know. Maybe that's another question through the fire chief. Do you know how long those things are valid for?
They don't, through Your Worship, to Councilor. They don't generally expire.
Yeah, okay.
It's not like a medical certificate or anything like that, where you're providing first aid, you need to stay current and that sort of thing.
So it's interesting. The reason why I asked the question, in time, like well over a decade, we might be talking 2 decades ago, I had the operations planning, logistics, finance. It's all the same. at that time. And so, and I would think that mine should be expired at this point, but in the need of that. So I'm just sort of flagging it more for staff. And then on this, I won't dwell any further
I
on
can
that.
reply to that one because it's a good question if you don't mind. George.
Yeah, go ahead.
So quite rightly, if you took the operations or planning and logistics, 20 years ago in 2003, say, for example, there is not a lot has changed in that. What has changed is the other end of the story where we're connecting with the province.
Yeah.
There are changes in how the logistics are implemented or
Right.
or that expense authorization request might have gone out to get a helicopter in to whatever we need to do. So there's been very little changes.
Right.
Keeping it current with the technology that has changed,
Yeah.
the procedures that have changed, turnover. That's another big one, and that does affect the numbers that maybe do feel low.
Yeah.
So yeah, the city has had a fairly large turnover of trained members. So we didn't report these numbers 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But I would imagine if we looked at those, we would see some.
And that's why I'm like from my perspective, I think it would be good if all the senior management tried to get most, if not all those, the operations planning, logistics, finance, for sure. And then the impact for council and our oversight on finance is actually a really important thing because the finance person is thinking about getting the money from the province. So there's paperwork that becomes very essential right from the moment the emergency happens. I won't dwell on that because I'm getting maybe a little operational, but there is a potential impact there is an impact to the community. The other one I'm just going to flag, if I may, and it's maybe more for the CAO again. Evacuation training in city facilities. So that's a little concerning that it's zero. And I think that's more probably with the administrator making sure that that's happening. Do we know what, even for us, do we know what we're supposed to do if there's an evacuation call right here?
Get your ass out.
Yeah, and then take off and then you don't know.
No, and that's the thing, and that's a good point, because I'll discuss that with staff, because we should have a muster point where everybody gathers.
Yeah, and there
It should
probably
be,
is.
at the corner of City Hall, the front corner,
There probably is one.
and it probably is, but we should know.
Good.
Oh, it's right there on the wall. Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. We should study that.
Love reading in an emergency.
And that's the reason to have it, so you're not fumbling at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to do a gotcha question, but I'll avoid it.
Give it to me.
Did you know that there's a Fire Smart? Okay, I'll do it to you. Okay. Did you know there's a Fire Smart demonstration site in Revelstoke?
Is that the one on the park up on what is that one? Nixon? No, Nickel.
So the interesting thing, so from going back 12, 13, 14 years ago, there was funding and the city got funding to do a demonstration site in Columbia Park. I was walking by there.
Right behind the cemetery.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's, the sign is, it's, so go take a walk up there.
It's on our plan to get some work done on there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's been working on that one.
It doesn't reflect, because the sign's ready to fall over, it's all mildewed yet.
One of the challenges is keeping up with everything.
Oh, yeah.
There is one question I thought you were gonna ask.
Yeah, that's my last one. So, and the answer is?
The province has basically indicated there will be no Fire Smart funding.
Okay.
However, due to Ms. Marfleet's foresight, she applied for the grant early in 2025. So we were successful in getting a 2025 additional Fire Smart grant for 2 years for $388,000.
Perfect.
So hopefully the province will be able to reintroduce some Fire Smart funding supports within that time period.
Okay, good.
Awesome.
That's the question I should have had, but I didn't.
I'm ready for Jeopardy.
Inspection, how, just further to the whole inspection thing, you got the stats here from previous years. How is it generally looking in 2026? Have we been able to put a little bit more fire under the, sorry, that wasn't intended, but
You don't want fire under the inspection.
for, in improving those numbers?
The next council committee of the whole meeting, I will have all those details.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And then one sad but good news story, we have one member who's retiring tomorrow, last day, is that correct?
Yes, Your Worship. Mr. Moan, David Moan, training officer, emergency program coordinator, assistant chief, is retiring tomorrow. And thank you for bringing that up. His last day on Friday the 13th. So hopefully a lucky day.
Always a good day.
Yeah, so 4 o'clock is his normal quitting time, but if you also wanted to stop by and wish him on his way.
What would be an ideal time?
Pardon?
What would be an ideal time to drop by? First thing?
I'd say any time, but maybe in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, between 10:30 and noon or something like that.
Good.
Yeah, anytime.
Okay, good.
All right, any more questions for Chief Rossi? Seeing none, thank you, Chief, appreciate your time. We've got 2 more things to go on to. And
I
we'll-
do have to get going.
Yeah, that's fine, thank you. We still have quorum. We have a couple more things. Do any of you need a break before we carry on?
Keep going.
Oh, you're okay.
Mr. Jips, are you gonna lead it, or are we, is Mr. Simon, yeah, he's still on. Mr. Simon is there.
Yes, Your Worship. I typically present the stats on behalf of the department. Although today we are not intending on doing a formal presentation, staff are here to answer any questions that council may have.
Oh, okay, good. I like that. Let me ask a question.
How's it going? That's my question.
As far as planning and whatnot, how are you guys doing? I'm looking at things 70 days for some things to get permits out, some less than that. Are you feeling inundated, or do you as a group feel like you're getting the things done in a way that's comfortable for the community and comfortable for your staff?
Yes, Your Worship. So the stats relating to the overall processing times that we have under the development services item there. One thing I will notice that does include, in some cases, whether these are taking time to get to council, their commission dates, as well as staff review, feed back and forth with the applicants to be able to get the application to a point where it can be either considered by council or approved through delegated permit. Overall, happy with it as a whole. Again, there are going to be some outliers where the odd one does skew the stats quite heavily, which is why you will see we do provide 80% and 100%. Again, that's the total stats versus, and then the 80% is removing those specific outliers where it would really skew the numbers. And again, typically those are one-offs for the most part, where there's very unique circumstances associated with them, whether it's slower communication, preconditions, things along that nature.
Awesome, great. Any other questions from council?
Just on the whole report?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll just really quick. You have the building permit, total construction values there. What are you projecting 2026 at this point? And I'm not holding, but is it sort of similar, or is it feel a lot, or is it going down?
Through your motion to Councillor Palmer. Hard to say at this point. We are still fairly early in the season. We are realistically to probably be closer to the 2024 range. We won't necessarily see as high of a year of 2025. The reason, again, it's hard to predict. The reason being is we do get some larger applications that do come in that will obviously skew those numbers quite heavily. They don't come in consistently year over year. Typically, we see these larger developments where they'll come in, they'll submit their applications one year. It takes a couple years to construct. And then their next phase then gets applied for 2 to 3 years later. So that's why you do see these fluctuations up and down. That said, we are expecting to see some of those larger projects issuing again this year. But something along the lines of like the BC housing project that was issued, those are collected under 2025, since that's when that application was received. And so this is based on the years the application was received, not necessarily issued.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions? Seeing none, let's move on to OCP implementation 2026.
Your worship, both Mr. Gibbs and I have got a 4 o'clock meeting that we need to run to, but I believe Director Simon's on that.
Mr. Simon. 2 of your colleagues are figuring out a way to bail on you.
I've got a question. So we can just sort of do the abbreviated version here, right? And maybe bring it up again next meeting.
Yeah, we can.
Unless there's time sensitive items.
Let's just do a high overview, Mr. Simon, if you're okay, and then we can discuss in detail at the next committee of the whole. You're okay with that?
Yeah, through your worship, this is just a report for council that we're trying to make sure we're providing every single year on the status of our implementation of the official community plan. You'll notice that it is from all of senior management. Everyone has been involved in this because the OCP does touch all the other departments. No formal presentation was prepared from my end. Couple things for council to take note of and to certainly be in the loop. Population growth went up about 1.13% according to BC Stats numbers between 2024 and 2025. We're going to be looking in 2026. Obviously, with the release of the census data, usually starts rolling in the second and third quarter of this year. We are hitting our targets for housing. We are at about 82% of all new units that were constructed in 2025 being multi-unit and ground-oriented development. The OCP sets a target of 75%. So that is a really positive stat that we like to see within the department. And then something for council to be aware of and to be very proud of. In 2025, we are looking pretty good. There's 113 action items within the official community plan. 33 of the actions, so about 29%, are not initiated. This is down from 33% in 2024. 38 actions, so about 34%, are ongoing, the same as 2024. 17 actions are in progress, about 15%. And then we have 25 actions, so about 22% of them are completed. So in 2025, there was 14 additional actions that were completed by this council, a lot of them related to the new zoning bylaw being adopted, as well as the new development cost charge bylaw. But things like water metering, garbage and organics collection, as well as advocating to the province for reduced speed limit on Highway 1 for the Johnson Heights neighborhood were also completed in 2025. So council can see, and the whole point of this report is to be accountable for council and the community, that the city is implementing the actions as contained within the 2022 official community plan. So happy to answer any questions that you may have. And if it's related to another department, I will do my best to try and answer them for you.
I just want to say that I think you and your staff have been taking this population growth very seriously. So, I look at it, there's 3 or 4 in your department that added to the population. There's more coming in the rest of the buildings. So, congratulations. The numbers.
We're trying.
Thank you. Any other comments from Mr. Simon? I appreciate. We'll go through the report a little more in detail, and then there may be questions that we have as we go along.
Sounds good.
All right. If there's nothing else, no other questions, I will ask for a termination of the meeting. Councillor Lucia, Councillor Orlando, all in favor? Motion's carried. We're done. Thank you for joining, Councillor Cherry. Appreciate it. You're looking dapper as always.
Thanks, appreciate it. Just, representing the city of Revelstoke over here.
Thanks. All right. Take care. Thanks again. Thank you, Ms. Cheney.
Thank you, Your Worship.
I think you closed them off already.